stood in the observation deck of the diplomatic shuttle, watching the massive station grow larger in the viewport. After 300 years of dreaming about the stars, humanity had finally made it. They had built faster-than-light engines, crossed the impossible distances, and found what they always hoped for: life. Intelligent life. Hundreds of different species living together under something called the Galactic Council. The station was beautiful. It hung in space like a giant flower made of metal and light. Ships from dozens of worlds docked at its petals. Some looked like elegant birds, others like floating crystals. The human shuttle, with its rough welded plates and simple design, looked like a child's toy next to them. "Captain, we're receiving docking instructions," said the pilot, nodded. His heart was beating fast. Today would change everything for Earth. Behind him, Ambassador adjusted her formal suit one more time. She was the best diplomat Earth had. Smart, calm, and able to talk to anyone. If anyone could convince the Council to accept humanity, it was her. "How do I look?" she asked. "Like someone who's about to make history," replied with a smile. The shuttle docked smoothly. The airlock opened with a hiss and they stepped into a world beyond imagination. The station's interior was enormous. Beings of every shape and size walked through the corridors. Some had scales, some had fur, some seemed to be made of pure energy. The air smelled strange, like flowers mixed with metal. A tall reptilian creature approached them. Its skin was deep green and its eyes were golden. It wore robes that seemed to shift colors as it moved. "Welcome, humans. I am speaker for the council. Please follow me." They walked through hallways that seemed to go on forever. Other species stopped to stare at the humans. Some looked curious. Others looked disgusted, tried to ignore the whispers. The council chamber was circular and huge. 47 seats rose in tiers around a central platform. Each seat held a representative from a different world. Some were giants, some were tiny. All of them were watching. Stepped onto the platform. Lights focused on her. She looked small and alone down there, but she stood straight and tall. "Honored members of the Galactic Council," she began. Her voice was clear and strong. "I come before you today representing the people of Earth. We are a young species, new to the stars, but eager to learn and grow. We ask to join this great community and contribute to the peace and progress of the galaxy." One of the council members, a being that looked like living crystal, spoke. Its voice sounded like wind chimes. "We have studied your world, human. We have reviewed your history. What we found troubles us greatly." Images appeared in the air above the platform. Wars, weapons, cities burning, environmental destruction, poverty, violence. Every dark moment of human history displayed for all to see. "Didn't look away. Yes, we have made mistakes, terrible ones, but we have also learned from them. We've grown. In the last 100 years, we've united our world, ended global conflict, and begun to heal our planet. We've created art, music, and philosophy. We've reached for the stars because we believe in something better." The crystal being's light dimmed. "Your species is barely 300,000 years old. You've had technology for mere thousands of years. You've been in space for only centuries. You are children playing with fire." Stood, "The council has made its decision." The chamber fell silent, held his breath. "Humanity is membership in the Galactic Council. Furthermore, your species is restricted to a 50-light-year radius around your home star. You are forbidden from entering Council space. No trade, no technology exchange, no contact except through official diplomatic channels. These restrictions will remain in place indefinitely, until such time as humanity proves itself worthy of civilization." The words hit like a physical blow. Saw's shoulders sag for just a moment before she straightened again. "May I ask why?" she said quietly. His golden eyes showed something like pity. "Because you are dangerous, human. Your species solves problems through violence. You are chaotic, unpredictable, and aggressive. The galaxy has known peace for 10,000 years. We will not risk that peace for a species that cannot even keep peace on its own world for more than a few decades at a time. We came here in friendship, said. And we have answered with wisdom, the crystal being replied. Return to your world, grow up. Perhaps in a few thousand years you will be ready. Until then, stay in your corner of space. The platform lowered. The meeting was over. The walk back to the shuttle was silent. Other species moved out of their way as if the humans carried a disease. Felt anger burning in his chest, but he kept his face calm. They were being watched. Only when the airlock sealed and the shuttle began to move away from the station did anyone speak. Those arrogant, the pilot started. Enough, said softly. She was looking out the window at the beautiful station, at the galaxy humanity had been told it couldn't join. We came here hopping for acceptance. We got rejection. Now we know where we stand. What do we tell Earth? Asked. Was quiet for a long moment. When she spoke, her voice was hard as steel. We tell them the truth. The galaxy doesn't want us, so we'll build our own path. We don't need their permission to be great. The shuttle turned toward home, toward the small blue world that the galaxy had called too primitive, too dangerous, too young. Behind them, the council station grew smaller and smaller until it was just another star in the endless dark. Humanity had reached for the stars and been slapped down, but knew his species. They didn't give up. They didn't bow. When the universe said no, humans found another way. The real story was just beginning. The broadcast played on every screen across Earth. Billions of people watched as delivered the council's verdict. Some cried, some shouted in anger, some just sat in stunned silence. In Geneva, Prime Minister Han stood before the United Earth Assembly. The chamber was packed. Every nation's representative was there. The air was thick with tension. They rejected us, said simply. The Galactic Council looked at humanity and decided we weren't good enough. They've locked us in a box, 50 light years across, and told us to stay there like children sent to their room. Angry voices filled the chamber. Someone shouted about war. Someone else demanded they try again, apologize, beg if necessary. Slammed his hand on the podium. The sound echoed. Everyone went quiet. I didn't call you here to debate whether we should beg for scraps from their table, he said. His voice was calm but hard. I called you here to ask one question. What are we going to do about it? Admiral Park stood from his seat. He was old, gray-haired, but his eyes were sharp. We build, he said. We have FTL drives. We have the basics. We don't need their fancy technology. We figure it out ourselves. That could take centuries, someone protested. Then it takes centuries, replied Dr. Lee. She was young, brilliant, and angry. Our ancestors spent thousands of years figuring out fire, agriculture, mathematics, physics. We can do this. We just need to stop waiting for permission. Smiled, it wasn't a friendly smile. Then let's get to work. The Prometheus Initiative launched 3 months later. Dr. Lee led a team of 10,000 scientists from every nation. Their goal was simple and impossible. Reverse engineer faster-than-light travel without any outside help, then make it better. They worked in a facility built on the moon. No gravity meant they could build large experimental equipment. No atmosphere meant no drag on test flights. And the isolation meant no one could stop them from trying dangerous ideas. Barely slept those first years. Her team tested engine designs that council species probably never even considered. Some exploded. Some opened holes in space that took days to close. One created gravity waves that almost tore the moon apart. But slowly they learned. On Mars, Yang was building something else. He was an engineer, not a scientist. He didn't care about elegant equations. He cared about what worked. The council ships used exotic matter and quantum fields to fly. Beautiful, efficient, expensive. Built plasma drives using nuclear fusion and magnetic bottles. They were loud. They were hot. They leaked radiation. but they pushed ships faster than anything humanity had built before, and they could be manufactured in any decent shipyard. "It's not pretty," he told his team, "but pretty doesn't matter, working matters." The first colony ship left Earth in 2294, just 7 years after the Council's rejection. It carried 10,000 people to Mars. The journey took 3 months using drives. It should have taken years. More ships followed: Europa, Titan, Ganymede, Enceladus. Humanity spread through the solar system like water finding cracks in stone. On Mars, Colony Administrator Song was dealing with water recycling problems when the survey team came running into her office. "Administrator, you need to see this," the chief geologist said, out of breath. They took her down into the deep mines, past the ice layers, into bedrock. There, glowing faintly in the dark, was a vein of something that shouldn't exist: exotic matter. The same material the Council ships used for FTL drives. Tons of it, maybe hundreds of tons. "They never looked," whispered. "The Council scanned Earth from orbit, decided we weren't worth their time, and never bothered to check what resources were in our system." The geologist grinned. "Their loss, our gain." The discovery changed everything. Suddenly, humanity didn't need to trade for the materials their technology required. It was right there, in their own backyard. Dr. Lee's team cracked FTL travel in 2301. Their version wasn't like the Council's smooth, reality-bending jumps. It was violent. The ship's drive created a bubble of twisted space, then punched through into what called rough space, a layer of reality where distances were shorter. Ships could cross light years in days instead of months. The first test nearly killed the pilot. The second test worked perfectly. By the third test, they were refining the design. By 2312, humanity had 47 colonies. Not all were in the solar system. Some were on planets around nearby stars within the 50-light-year boundary the Council had set. Each colony was different. Some focused on farming, others on mining. Some were research stations, some were purely military. And they were building ships, lots of ships. The Council species built elegant vessels that looked like works of art. Human ships looked like industrial accidents. They were blocky, asymmetric, covered in weapons and armor plates. They used 3 different types of engines depending on what was needed. They had redundant systems for their redundant systems. Admiral Park walked through the shipyard orbiting Earth, looking at the fleet humanity had built. Cruisers, destroyers, carriers, even a few experimental dreadnoughts. None of them would win beauty contests, but they were tough, mean, and ready. "They wanted us to stay home," he said to his second-in-command. "So we turned home into a fortress." There were other changes, too. Humanity had always been competitive, divided into nations and groups, but the Council's rejection had unified them in a way nothing else could. It wasn't about countries anymore. It was about species survival. Young people grew up hearing stories about the day the galaxy said no. They learned engineering and physics with a fire in their hearts. They joined the fleet or the colonial service or the research stations with one goal: prove the Council wrong. On Titan, at a research base studying exotic particles, a young scientist named Minu made a breakthrough. He found a way to use quantum entanglement for instant communication across any distance. No lag, no delay. A message from Earth to the furthest colony arrived instantly. The Council had nothing like it. Their communications still used relay stations and traveled at light speed. Humanity's isolation had forced them to innovate. 25 years after the rejection, humanity wasn't the same species that had begged for acceptance. They were harder, smarter, more unified. They'd taken their chaos, their violence, their unpredictability, all the things the Council hated, and weaponized them. Dr. Lee, now the head of the entire Prometheus initiative, stood on the observation deck of the Moon facility. She was watching Earth spin slowly below, blue and beautiful, and surrounded by orbital stations and shipyards. "They called us too dangerous," she said to no one in particular. "They had no idea." Her assistant, a young engineer, stood beside her. "Do you think we'll ever join them?" Smiled. It was the same smile Han had worn all those years ago. "Who says we want any more? We're doing just fine on our own." Below them, another colony ship was launching. Above them, a new warship was taking shape in the yards. And across 50 light-years of space, humanity was building an empire that the galaxy didn't even know existed yet. The Council had wanted Earth to grow up. They were about to find out what happened when humanity did it their own way. The distress signal came through on a frequency that humanity wasn't supposed to be monitoring. Commander, captain of the warship Indomitable, stared at the translation scrolling across his screen. "This is civilian transport Gentle Dawn. We are under attack by raiders. Engines failing. Shields at 20%. We have 300 passengers, mostly children. Please, anyone help us." The communications officer looked at. "Sir, that's in the fringe. Technically outside our patrol zone, and definitely outside our jurisdiction." Was son. He'd been 10 years old when his mother came home from the council station, trying not to cry in front of him. He'd grown up angry at the galaxy that rejected his people. He'd joined the fleet to protect humanity from a universe that didn't want them. But right now, all he could think about was 300 people, mostly children, waiting to die. "How far?" he asked. 4 hours at maximum speed." "Plot the course. Battle stations. Send word to Fleet Command that we're responding to a distress call." The officer hesitated. "Sir, the regulations." "Say that we protect civilian lives whenever possible. Those people are civilians. I don't care what species they are. Move." The Indomitable was one of humanity's newer ships. It didn't look like much. The hull was painted a flat gray and covered in odd angles to scatter sensor readings. Weapons bristled from every surface. It looked dangerous because it was dangerous. They dropped out of FTL into chaos. 3 warships were circling a damaged transport like sharks. The transport was small, meant for peaceful trade, not combat. Its hull was broken in a dozen places. Air was venting into space. They were reptilian, bigger and meaner looking than They were pirates, raiders, slavers. The Council officially condemned them. Unofficially, the Council moved too slowly to ever stop them. "Vessels, this is the Earth warship Indomitable," broadcast. "Cease your attack immediately and withdraw, or we will open fire." The response came back in broken English. "Human, this is not your space. Leave or join them." Looked at his weapons officer. "Show them what humans do to bullies." The Indomitable didn't fight like Council ships. Council vessels engaged at long range, trading elegant beam weapons while maintaining perfect formation. It was civilized, honorable, slow. Human tactics were none of those things. The Indomitable launched a swarm of AI-controlled drones, hundreds of small, fast missiles that moved independently. They tried to shoot them down, but there were too many. While the raiders were distracted, the Indomitable closed to what Council species would consider insanely close range. Plasma cannons opened up. They were crude weapons, just superheated gas fired at relativistic speeds. But at close range, they punched through shields like they weren't there. One ship took a direct hit to its engine core and exploded. The other 2 raiders tried to run. They were fast but had studied ship designs. He knew their weakness. Human missiles couldn't match Council technology for range or elegance, but they could be set to kamikaze mode, burning all their fuel for one massive acceleration, then detonating on impact. 2 missiles caught the second ship. It didn't explode. It just stopped, tumbling dead in space. The third ship activated its FTL drive to escape, but the Indomitable had one more trick, a weapon the Council considered barbaric, a massive that fired chunks of tungsten at a significant fraction of light speed. The shot took 3 seconds to cross the distance. The tungsten round hit the ship just as it was entering FTL. The energy feedback from the disrupted jump tore the raider apart. Total engagement time, 4 minutes. Opened a channel to the damaged transport. Gentle Dawn, this is indomitable. The threat is neutralized. We're moving to assist. The response was shaky, full of static. This is Gentle Dawn, you're human, the humans the Council banished. That's us, do you need medical assistance? There was a long pause. Then, yes, please, we have wounded, our life support is failing. The Indomitable moved alongside the transport. Boarding tubes extended. Human Marines crossed over, bringing medical supplies and repair equipment. The crew was gentle, peaceful beings that looked like bipedal deer. They stared at the humans with wide eyes. One of them, wearing a captain's insignia, approached as he came aboard. I am the captain of this vessel. You saved us. The Council told us humans were too dangerous to interact with. Looked around at the damaged ship, at the tending to their wounded, at the children huddled in the corner still crying. They weren't wrong. We are dangerous, just not to people like you. His ears twitched. They have been raiding the fringe for years. We send requests to the Council for protection. They always say they're working on it. They form committees, they discuss, they debate. People keep dying while they talk. Yeah, that sounds like them, one of the human Marines muttered. Repairs took 6 hours. They watched in amazement as human engineers patched holes with whatever materials they had on hand. It wasn't pretty, but it worked. That seemed to be humanity's motto. It didn't have to be pretty, just functional. When the Gentle Dawn was again, insisted on thanking properly. She gave him a data chip with star charts of the fringe, trade routes, and locations of settlements. We are not warriors, she said, but we know this region. If you ever need friends out here, you have them. Took the chip. The Council might not like you associating with us. His ears went flat against her head, anger he learned later. The Council isn't here when raiders attack. The Council doesn't save our children. You did. I think we should choose our friends based on actions, not words. News of the rescue spread through the fringe faster than light. They told other species. Those species told others. Within weeks, everyone in the border regions knew the same story. Humans had come when called, fought without hesitation, and asked for nothing in return. More distress calls started coming to human ships. At first, Fleet Command didn't know what to do. These weren't human civilians. These weren't even in human space. Technically, responding was against Council regulations. Admiral Park made the decision. We respond to every call, every single one. The Council can complain all they want. We're not letting people die just to follow rules made by people who don't care. Over the next 3 years, human ships became a common sight in the fringe. They escorted convoys. They chased off raiders. They provided emergency assistance to anyone who asked. And they never demanded payment or territory or anything except that people remember who helped them when no one else would. The Council noticed, of course. They sent strongly worded messages about humans overstepping their boundaries, about violating the terms of their quarantine. Earth's response was always the same. We're not in Council space. The fringe is neutral territory. We have every right to be here. On the Indomitable's bridge, watched another rescued transport jump to safety. His mother's words from years ago came back to him. The galaxy doesn't want us, so we'll build our own path. Sir, we're receiving a transmission, the communications officer said. It's from a warship. They're asking if they can join our patrol route. Raised an eyebrow. They were a warrior species that the Council had expelled decades ago for being too aggressive, too violent. Sound familiar. Tell them they're welcome, he said. Seems like the galaxy's rejects are finding each other. The officer smiled. Shall I inform Fleet Command? Yeah, tell them we're making friends. The kind the Council wouldn't approve of, So exactly our kind of people. Somewhere in the fringe, rejected by the same galaxy that rejected humanity, other species were watching. And they were starting to think that maybe, just maybe, the humans had the right idea about forging their own path. The conference room on the space station Hope was crowded, not just with humans but with representatives from a dozen different species. The crystalline, and others. All of them had one thing in common. The Galactic Council had either rejected them, ignored them, or failed them. Admiral stood at the head of the table. She was younger than most admirals, promoted fast because she had a gift for strategy and an even better gift for diplomacy. Next to her stood the captain whose rescue 3 years ago had started everything. "Thank you all for coming," began. "I know some of you traveled a long way. I know some of you took risks just being here, but I think we all understand why this meeting matters." A warrior named spoke up. His species looked like bipedal bears with too many teeth. "The council grows weaker, they grow bolder. Last month they raided 7 colonies in 3 different sectors. The council sent a strongly worded letter." He spat the last words like a curse. Murmurs of agreement filled the room. "We've all seen it," said a named resonance. Her crystalline form chimed softly as she moved. "The council is good at talking, terrible at doing. They debate while people die." Nodded. "That's why we're here, not to complain, to offer an alternative." She activated a hologram. It showed a map of the fringe and the surrounding space. "Earth proposes the formation of the Free Worlds Compact, a defensive alliance of independent species. We share resources, technology, and military support. When one of us is attacked, all of us respond." "Like your NATO from ancient Earth?" asked a human historian in the back. "Similar idea, but better, because this time we're all equals. No one species dominates. Decisions are made by majority vote. Every member has the same voice." Crossed his massive arms. "And what does Earth get out of this? You have the strongest fleet, the best technology in this region. Why share it?" Trade Commissioner Park stood up. She was small, quiet, but when she spoke, people listened. "Because we learned something the Council never understood. Strength isn't about being the biggest. It's about who stands with you. Alone, we're targets. Together, we're a force." "The Council will oppose this," Resonance chimed. "They don't like competition." "The Council already opposes us," said flatly. "They've opposed humans for 40 years. They opposed the for 70. They opposed the for rejecting their trade monopolies. What do we have to lose?" Stood up, her voice was soft but clear. "My people are peaceful. We don't have warships or weapons, but we have trade routes, food production, and medical knowledge. If the compact will protect us, we will feed you, heal you, and help you connect to markets the Council controls." "My people are warriors," said. "We were expelled because the Council feared our strength. Let them fear it again. They will join." One by one, the other species agreed. They offered their engineering skills. They offered their advanced communications technology. A species called who were artificial intelligences in mechanical bodies, offered their computational power. The Council didn't recognize AI as sapient life. The Compact did. The Free Worlds Compact was born that day, not with grand speeches or formal ceremonies. Just tired people, rejected by the galaxy, deciding they were better off together. The real work began immediately. Dr. Minu, the scientist who'd invented instant quantum communication, was put in charge of creating a compact-wide network. He spent months working with whose natural crystalline structure made them perfect for handling quantum states. "The Council's communication system is 10,000 years old," Minu explained to his team. "It works, but it's slow. Our system will give us a massive advantage. Fleet coordination, trade negotiations, emergency responses, all in real time across hundreds of light years." The scientist resonance added her harmonic voice. "More than that, the Council can intercept and monitor their own communications. Ours will be quantum encrypted. Impossible to hack, impossible to spy on. When the network went live, it changed everything. A merchant could negotiate with a human manufacturer in real time. A patrol ship could call for backup and have it arrive before the enemy even knew help was coming. Information flowed freely. Park was building something else, an economy. The Council controlled most galactic trade through tariffs, regulations, and monopolies. They could do this because they controlled the trade routes and the currency. So we use our own currency, told the Compact Economic Council, based on resource exchange, not arbitrary value, and we build our own trade routes through the fringe. An economist was skeptical. The Council has been doing this for, how do we compete? Smiled, we don't compete. We offer what they can't, speed, flexibility, fair prices, and we trade with everyone, even species the Council has sanctioned or ignored. It worked, slowly at first, then faster. Minor species who were tired of Council fees and regulations started trading with the Compact instead. Human jumpgate technology made travel faster. Food production made it profitable. Security made it safe. Within 5 years, the Free Worlds Compact was handling 30% of trade in their region. Within 10 years, it was 50%. The Council noticed but couldn't do anything about it. Everything the Compact did was technically legal. They weren't violating any treaties. They were just better at business. The military integration was harder. Every species had different tactics, different weapons, different command structures. Admiral spent 3 years creating joint training exercises. We're not trying to make everyone fight like humans, she told her officers. We're learning to fight together. The Arshak troops close combat, heavy assault. The humans are adaptable, we use whatever works. They are ambush specialists. They can jam enemy sensors. We combine our strengths. They practiced, and practiced, and practiced some more. At first, it was messy. Ships got in each other's way. Communication broke down. One exercise ended with a warship accidentally ramming a human destroyer because they used different distance measurements. But slowly, they got better. They learned each other's languages, literally and figuratively. They created a unified command system that respected each species' autonomy while allowing coordinated action. The first real test came when a fleet attacked a colony world. 80 raider ships, the largest attack the Fringe had ever seen. The Compact responded with 200 ships from 6 different species. Battleships, human carriers with their swarms of drones, command ships coordinating everything in real time, ambush squadrons, electronic warfare platforms. The battle lasted 6 hours. They were expecting terrified merchants and slow Council response fleets. Instead, they got a coordinated military force that moved like a single organism. The raiders were destroyed, not driven off, destroyed. The Compact took no prisoners from slavers. News of the battle spread across the galaxy. The Council sent a formal complaint about disproportionate response. Earth's President Lee, who had taken office 2 years earlier, sent back a one-sentence reply. Protecting our people is never disproportionate. The Compact wasn't perfect, species argued. Humans were too aggressive for some, too cautious for others. They wanted to go on the offensive against the home worlds. They insisted on trying diplomacy first. Compromises had to be made constantly. But it worked, and more importantly, it grew. Every few months, another minor species asked to join. Some were refugees from Council territory. Some were isolated colonies that had never been contacted. Some were species so strange that the Council had no category for them. The Compact welcomed them all. The only requirements: respect the sovereignty of member species, contribute what you can, and defend each other. By year 18, the Free Worlds Compact had 43 member species. They controlled over 300 star systems. Their combined economy rivaled the smallest Council sectors. Their fleet was more responsive than the entire Council military. And at the center of it all was Earth. not as conquerors or rulers, as equals who had simply asked the right question: what if we built something better? The council was starting to realize they had a problem, a big one, and it was growing. The alert came at 300 hours, Galactic Standard Time. Every military station in both the Council space and the Compact received the same message. The Empire had launched a full-scale invasion. This wasn't a raid. This wasn't piracy. 2,000 warships had crossed into Council territory and were burning toward the core worlds. They had been building their fleet for decades quietly in the dark spaces between stars. Now they were done hiding. Admiral stared at the tactical display in the Compact Command Center. The fleet was massive. They were targeting civilian populations, not military bases. Terror tactics. Break the spirit and the surrender would follow. Council forces are responding, her tactical officer reported. Estimate: 1,200 ships moving to intercept. How long until engagement? 40 hours at current speeds. Pulled up the Council fleet composition and winced. Beautiful ships, elegant designs, built for patrol and peacekeeping, not total war. The Council had enjoyed 10,000 years of peace. They'd forgotten what real war looked like. They hadn't forgotten. They'd been planning this for generations. "Ma'am, we're receiving a transmission," the communications officer said. "It's from the Council, Priority 1, encrypted." "Put it through." Appeared on the screen. The proud reptilian who had delivered humanity's rejection 41 years ago looked old now, tired. "Admiral, I am contacting you on behalf of the Galactic Council." "I'm listening." His golden eyes closed for a moment. When he spoke again, his voice was barely above a whisper. "We need your help." The words hung in the air. Let the silence stretch. Every human who heard those words felt 41 years of anger, rejection, and humiliation surge up. Finally spoke. "You rejected us, called us too violent, too dangerous, too primitive. You locked us away and told us we weren't worthy of your precious civilization. Why should we help you now?" "Because millions of civilians will die if you don't," said simply. "They are not interested in conquest. They want genocide, complete annihilation of any species that opposes them. We were unprepared. Our forces are not enough." "You had 10,000 years to prepare." "We had 10,000 years of peace. We forgot that peace must be defended." His image seemed to shrink. "I know what we did to you. I was there. I cast one of the votes that banished your species. I thought we were right. I thought we were protecting the galaxy from chaos. I was wrong." Switched off the transmission and turned to her staff. "Get me President Lee, and get me every Compact representative. Emergency session. Now." An hour later, the Compact Council convened. 43 species represented, presented the situation, the Council's request, the scale of the threat. President Lee spoke first. "We need to vote on this, but before we do, I want everyone to remember something. The Council rejected us, all of us. They've ignored our suffering for decades. They've interfered with our trade. They've looked down on us like we were insects. We owe them nothing." Of the stood, "I agree, we owe them nothing. But those civilians they are targeting, they didn't reject us. They're just people living their lives. My species was expelled from the Council 70 years ago. I still remember what it felt like when the Council abandoned us. I won't become what they were." Stood next. "They are not warriors. We have no warships, but I've seen what happens when the strong ignore the suffering of the weak. The Council did it to us. We called for help and they debated while we died. If we ignore this, we become them." Resonance they chimed in. "There is also a practical concern. If the Council falls, they will not stop. They will come for us next. Better to fight them now with allies than alone later." The debate lasted 2 hours. Some species wanted to help. Some wanted to stay out of it. Some wanted to demand concessions from the Council first. Finally, Admiral stood. He was 87 years old now. He'd been the captain who first brought Earth's delegation to the Council. He'd watched his species get rejected. He'd watched his son become a war hero. He'd retired years ago but came to this meeting anyway. "I was there," he said quietly. "The day they said no to us, I wanted to hate them. Part of me still does, but my son taught me something. He said we're not dangerous to people who need help. We're dangerous to people who hurt the helpless." He looked around the room. "Those civilians need help. That's all that matters." The vote was called. 43 species, 43 votes. The result was unanimous. The Free Worlds Compact would respond. The mobilization was the largest military operation in Compact history. 300 warships from Earth, 200 from the 150 mixed vessels from other species, 500 support ships, repair vessels, medical frigates, supply carriers. The fleet assembled at the edge of Council space. Commander Han, now a wing leader in the fighter corps, did final checks on his squadron. Young, aggressive, and brilliant, he'd grown up hearing stories about the Council's rejection. This wasn't about helping the Council. This was about proving they'd been wrong. The combined fleet jumped into Council space and headed toward the battle. When they arrived, the scene was carnage. Council ships were fighting bravely but losing. Their elegant formations were breaking. Their beautiful vessels were burning. Admiral took command of the compact forces. "All ships, this is Admiral. We're not here to save the Council. We're here to protect civilians and stop genocidal raiders. Engage at will. Show them what the rejected can do." The compact fleet hit like a hammer. Battleships charged in, their heavy armor shrugging off fire that would destroy lighter vessels. Human carriers launched swarms of drone fighters that moved in patterns no organic pilot could match. Command ships coordinated everything in real time through quantum communication. They had expected Council tactics, long-range, organized formations, predictable strategies. Instead, they got chaos. Human ships broke formation to engage at point-blank range. Vessels rammed damaged enemies. Squadrons appeared from nowhere, struck, and vanished. Commander Han led his fighters through the formation like a knife through silk. His squadron moved in impossible patterns, breaking every rule of engagement the Council taught. They were too close, too fast, too reckless, and devastatingly effective. Dr. Lee's quantum torpedoes, the ones she'd spent 30 years perfecting, proved their worth. Each torpedo opened a small rupture in spacetime on impact. The resulting implosion crushed dreadnoughts like tin cans. The battle raged for 18 hours. The Council fleet, given breathing room by the Compact's arrival, reorganized and joined back in. Fighting side by side, ships that should never have worked together created a devastating combination. When it was over, the fleet was destroyed. Fewer than 100 raiders escaped. The Council had lost 400 ships. The Compact had lost 60. The difference wasn't technology. It was that the Compact had been fighting for survival for 40 years. The Council had forgotten how. In the aftermath, aboard the flagship Victory, Admiral met with. The old reptilian looked at her with something like awe. "You saved us," he said, "after everything we did to you." "We saved civilians," corrected. "Don't mistake that for forgiveness." "I understand. The Council would like to offer Earth and the Compact full membership, immediately, with all rights and privileges." Smiled. It wasn't a happy smile. "No." Blinked. "What?" "Earth doesn't need Council membership anymore. Neither does the Compact. We built something out here, something that doesn't reject species for being different. Something that values contribution over appearance. Something that actually responds when people need help." President Lee's face appeared on the screen behind. She'd been listening. "The Free Worlds Compact is open to all species, including Council species. If your people are tired of bureaucracy and endless debates, they're welcome to join us. We judge by character, not pedigree." Was silent for a long moment. "You're offering us membership in your organization." "We're offering everyone membership," said. The galaxy is big enough for multiple alliances. But yes, if Council species want to join something that actually works, our door is open. Over the following months, the galaxy changed. 53 Council species applied for compact membership. Some kept their Council ties, some left entirely. The Council didn't collapse, but it shrank. It became one power among several, not the only power. Earth didn't become the center of the galaxy. They became something better, the species that proved you didn't need permission to be great. That rejection could be fuel. That the rejects, the outcasts, the dangerous and chaotic could build something beautiful. Admiral, now 90, stood in his garden on Earth. His grandson played nearby. The boy asked him about the Council, about the old days. "We were rejected," told him. "The galaxy said we weren't good enough. It was the best thing that ever happened to us." "Why?" the boy asked. Smiled. "Because it taught us that the only permission we needed was our own. We didn't join their galaxy. We made our own, and we made it better." Above them, ships from a dozen species passed overhead, heading to compact headquarters. Merchants and warriors, scientists and human explorers, all of them equal, all of them free. The Council had banished Earth to protect the galaxy from human chaos. Instead, they'd unleashed something far more dangerous, human determination to prove them wrong. And that determination had built a future brighter than any perfect civilization could have imagined. The rejected had forged their own path, and the galaxy was better for it.